Hi there, this is Teri from Stamping Magic. Welcome back to my channel. Today's project is a masculine card. I've used the A Good Man stamp set to create it, and it's an interactive card. So when you pull the cord at the side, a hidden message or image is shown. And it's called a flip-flap card because the front of it sort of flip-flaps. Let's get started. The mechanism needed for this card is very simple. I'm using soft suede cardstock, and this measures 15.25 centimeters by 5.1 centimeter, and that is 6 inches by 2 inches. I'm going to score it using my Simply Scored board at 2 inches and 2.5 inches. I'm folding on each of the score lines and I'm going to burnish them, but before I do, I want to just ensure that they are completely straight. So I'm making sure my edges are lined up. Then I can go ahead and punch the other end using the delightful tag topper punch. And this will not only shape it, but it will add a hole for the ribbon at the top. Now you can use any tag topper punch to do this, or if you haven't got one, any hole punch just to add that hole in the center. And then if you want to, you can round the top corners, or you can just slant cut them just to give them a little shape. The mechanism goes underneath and through this base layer, and I'm going to prepare that next. My soft suede cardstock layer measures 13.5 centimeters by 9 centimeters. For the US, that's 4 3/4 inches by 3.5 inches. Now my Come Sail Away Designer Series paper layer measures 13.2 centimeters by 8.7 centimeters, and this is 4 5/8 of an inch by 3 3/8 of an inch. I'm going to use my classic label punch to create the slot for the mechanism to pass through. This is perfect because it's just over 2 inches wide. I'm pushing the punch in as far as it will go, and then I'm just centering it. Because of the size of this panel, you will find that you can't center the punch across the width of the card. So you'll have one side slightly narrower than the other. Now I keep the narrower side on the right hand side for this design. If your future card designs requires this to be the other way round, then just be careful how you add your paper if it has a pattern orientation on it. Now to add your mechanism, you start underneath the card and thread it up through to the right side. Now when you position it, you will fold on the 2.5 inch score line. I'm adding tape adhesive to the inside left hand edge of that mechanism piece, and I'm just going to burnish this with my bone folder ready to peel off the backing. This is the panel I'm going to use as the door for my flip flap. Now the Night of Navy measures 7.3 centimeters by 9.8 centimeters, which is 2 7/8 of an inch by 3 7/8 of an inch. The Come Sail Away paper measures 7 centimeters by 9.5 centimeters, which is 2 3/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches. Now there's two important things to remember when designing this type of card. The first is that tag topper end, you don't want it to extend much past the edge of your card base. Otherwise you just won't get it to fit inside a standard size envelope. The other thing to remember is that wherever you put that left hand edge of the mechanism, that's where the edge of your panel, your door, will have to go. You can't extend the door panel past the left-hand edge of the mechanism because your mechanism just won't work. You won't get a smoother action when you try to pull it and push it back. So before you stick anything down, just position your mechanism where you think it needs to go, add your panel on top and make sure that it's going to be exactly where you want it to be. Now with this card design, it's super easy. You just want to position your mechanism across the width of the card so you've got an even size piece of designer series paper showing on each side edge. Then you can peel off the backing of your tape and stick it down. And then just check that your mechanism works okay. The glue for this door panel is added between the two score lines on the mechanism, and tape adhesive is the best way to go here as well. Now because I'm extra, I'm going to add 2 rows of tape adhesive just to make it super secure. Now remember, when you glued that mechanism piece down, that's already determined where the edge of your door panel will sit. Okay, so the left-hand edge of your door panel will sit right on the left-hand edge of your mechanism piece. So when you place it, you need to make sure that it's straight and it's where you want it to be. You've got very little room for manoeuvre at this point. I'm now going to create the inside panel. My Whisper White layer measures 9.5 centimeters by 4.7 centimeters, which is 3 3/4 inches by 1 7/8 of an inch. Now I have a Night of Navy mat here. This measures 9.8 centimeters by 5 centimeters, which is 3 7/8 of an inch by 2 inches for the US. I'm using the A Good Man stamp set. This is my main image. Then I'm using the heart and a little It's Your Day sentiment, as well as Relax Your Way. I'm going to use soft suede ink to stamp the sentiment, and I just want to add it to the center of this little panel. I'm going to add 2 balmy blue hearts and then 2 Night of Navy ones. The sentiment for the front of the card will be stamped using Night of Navy ink just onto a scrap of Whisper White. And then this I'll punch out using the classic label punch again. I can add some dimensionals onto the reverse. And I can also layer up the panel for inside the door. Now I've made this inside panel the same length as my door panel, so it just helps with lining it up. So just make sure the top and bottom edges are aligned, and then the left edge of the panel goes against the left edge of that mechanism piece that you can see. So I'm adding my glue to the mechanism only, and then I'm going to position my panel. So making sure the left edges are aligned and also the top and bottom edges are aligned with the door panel. Then you can test your mechanism, just make sure it works smoothly. And I decided here I wanted to secure the top and bottom corner on the right hand side. You don't want to add glue anywhere else, as this could affect the mechanism. So I'm just going to place the glue dot in that top and bottom corner just to secure the panel. I'm using some of our braided linen trim for the pull, and this is about 10 centimeters or 4 inches. I'm going to fold it in half and then thread the loop through the hole front to back, open up the loop and thread the ends through, and this will knot it onto that hole on the tag topper. Then I can trim off the excess. I can now add this panel to my card base. Now I have half a sheet of Night of Navy card, scored in the middle and folded to create a portrait card base. Just to mention here that if you haven't got the classic label punch to make your slot, you can hand cut it. Now it needs to be 3.7 centimeters or 1.5 inches from the right hand edge. Remember, we're looking at the reverse here. 5.4 centimeters or 2¼ inches long, and just 1 centimeter wide, which is 3/8 of an inch. When you add your glue, you want to stay away from the mechanism itself. Now I'm going to use tape adhesive first of all and just go around that mechanism. Then I'm going to remove the backings before adding wet glue everywhere else. This can then be added to the front of the card base. The sentiment will go towards the top of the card on the left hand side. I've already stamped and coloured the main panel, and I use Stampin' Blends markers to do this. Now I cut it out using the largest of the oval stitch shapes framelets, and the mat underneath was created using the layering ovals framelets, the largest scalloped one. I have dimensionals on the back so I can remove the backings and then position this centrally on my door panel. All that's left to do now is add the mat to the inside of the card for your message. Now this measures 10 centimeters by 14.4 centimeters, which is 4 inches by 5¼ inches for the US. Now I've just decorated it using a strip of soft suede and a strip of the matching designer series paper. And I don't measure these, I just use up whatever scraps I've got. And that's it, my card is finished. And here's my original one again. I have made just one more card, and this one uses the Animal Outing stamp set, and I also use papers from some of our 6-inch stacks, the neutral stack and the bright stack. Now, even though the main panel is square for this one and smaller than the panel on my original card, it's slightly narrower as well as a lot shorter, I was able to use all the dimensions for the mechanism that I used on my original card. So it's still 6 inches, it's scored at 2 and 2½ inches. I placed it centrally on the card and everything still fell into place, so I didn't have to adjust anything at all. Now, it may be that if you do a different design, that you have to adjust things slightly, and it's normally that mechanism arm that needs the adjustment, so you might have to make it a bit shorter or place it a bit differently. So just experiment. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notifications bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. Bye for now.